This summer, Los Angeles was extremely hot. The forests around the city started to dry out under the burning sun. When the first news reports of a fire appeared, no one knew how big the disaster would become. In just a few days, the fire spread to thousands of acres, forcing many people to evacuate quickly. The flames destroyed homes, forests, roads, and the smoke filled the sky, making the air heavy and hard to breathe. Keanu Reeves, like many others, first learned about the fire through the news. But unlike most people, he didn't just sit back. He decided to do something to help. Keanu was at his home in the Hollywood Hills when he saw images of people in evacuation centers. Families, children holding their parents' hands, elderly people sitting on cots, all looking sad and scared. These pictures really touched his heart. I can't just sit back and do nothing, he thought. Keanu has always been known for putting action before words, and this time was no different. He contacted local groups helping the evacuees and offered to help in any way he could. He gave money to buy food, clothes, and medicine for the people who had lost everything. But even that wasn't enough for him. I want to be where help is needed most, he said. The next day, Keanu went to one of the biggest evacuation centers in the city. When he arrived, the yard was busy and chaotic. Volunteers were handing out food, sorting clothes, and helping confused people find their families. Keanu didn't stand out. He was dressed simply in jeans and a t-shirt like anyone else. He quietly went to the coordinator and offered his help. "We don't have enough volunteers to give out the aid," the woman at the center said. "If you can please help with this." Keanu didn't hesitate. He started working right away. He carried boxes of food, handed out blankets, and helped organize lines. People thanked him, though they didn't know who he was. It didn't matter to him. What mattered were the smiles and tears of gratitude he saw on their faces. He knew he was making a difference in the middle of all the chaos. One day, while helping out, Keanu noticed a young woman named Eliza sitting in a corner of the gym with her two little kids. Her eyes were red from crying and she looked very tired. When she noticed him looking at her, she smiled softly. Keanu walked over to her and asked, "How can I help you?" Eliza explained that her house had burned down in the fire, and now they had no home. Her husband was a firefighter helping to put out the flames, but she didn't know where to go next. Her words touched Keanu deeply. He realized that the simple help they were giving at the center wasn't enough. This family needed more than just food and clothes. They needed real support to rebuild their lives. Keanu couldn't let this situation go. He decided to help Eliza and her kids in more ways. That evening, after leaving the center, he contacted friends in Los Angeles who were involved in helping disaster victims. He found a foundation that specialized in helping families like Eliza's. They arranged for Eliza and her kids to get temporary housing, a small hotel where they would have food, clothes, and other things they needed to stay safe. The next morning, Keanu returned to the center. Amid the chaos, he found the coordinator and shared his plan. With their help, Eliza and her children were safely moved to the hotel. It was a small step toward giving them some stability. Even as Keanu helped at the center, he noticed how hard the volunteers were working. He wanted to do more, so he ordered a large batch of hot meals for everyone, both the evacuees and the volunteers. His generous gesture made a big difference, though no one knew it was him behind it. While working, Keanu heard many stories of loss and struggle. One of them was about an elderly man who had lost the farm he had worked on his whole life. The man's sadness touched Keanu deeply. He arranged for the man to meet with local farming organizations to help him figure out a way to recover some of his losses. The fires kept burning, and Keanu knew the help couldn't stop at the center. He decided to donate more money to buy special equipment for the firefighters. His contribution allowed the firefighters to get dozens of new respirators and special suits to keep them safe while battling the flames. Every action Keanu took wasn't about wanting attention. He genuinely cared for people. For him, helping others wasn't just about giving things away. It was about showing kindness and humanity in the middle of difficult times. After helping Eliza and her family find temporary housing, Keanu knew his work wasn't finished. Fires leave behind more than burned homes. They leave people feeling lost and hopeless. Many of the victims not only lost their homes but also their hope for the future. This made Keanu act even more. He gathered a group of friends and supporters who wanted to join his cause. Their first goal was to create a recovery center, a place where survivors could get help with their mental health, legal advice, and find new places to live. Thanks to Keanu's funding and the help of volunteers, the recovery center opened less than a week later. The first few days were busy. People came with different problems. Some needed help finding new homes, some wanted advice on how to restore their lost documents, and others just wanted someone to listen to them. Keanu personally spent hours at the center, listening to the stories of the victims. He saw how important it was for people just to know they weren't alone in their sadness and struggles. In addition to working with the victims, Keanu decided to focus part of his efforts on helping firefighters too. His contributions allowed them to get better equipment, high-quality respirators, protective suits, and communication gear. He even arranged for the firefighters to receive hot lunches while working in the hottest, most dangerous spots. Keanu Reeves showed the world that even small actions can make a big difference, especially during tough times. His help wasn't about fame, it was about showing kindness and humanity. One day, Keanu Reeves visited a firefighter base to personally thank them for all the courageous work they do. The firefighters, who were used to working in difficult and dangerous conditions, were deeply touched by his kind words. Captain Hunter, one of the leaders, said, "We fight fires every day, but your support gives us the strength not to give up. Your involvement means more to us than you can imagine." Keanu had always believed in helping others, but he saw firsthand that true recovery after disasters takes more than just financial aid. So he reached out to local businesses, asking them to join in this effort. Many businesses responded, offering things like discounts on building materials, free meals for evacuees, and even job opportunities for those who had lost their jobs in the fires. One such entrepreneur, the owner of a small construction company, offered significant discounts on his services to families whose homes had been destroyed. Because of this generous help, several families could start repairing their homes, allowing them to slowly return to a sense of normalcy. One family Keanu directly helped was Eliza and her children. Just a few weeks after the fire, Eliza began working at the recovery center, where she helped other victims find the support they desperately needed. Her husband, who was a firefighter, received new safety equipment thanks to Keanu, making it much safer for him to do his job. Another success story was that of an elderly man who had lost his farm due to the fires. Thanks to the power of the community, a fundraiser was organized for him, and within a month he was able to buy new equipment to restart his farm. He said with gratitude, "I thought my life was over, but thanks to people like Keanu, I have hope again." Keanu didn't seek publicity, he simply wanted to make a difference. He realized that rebuilding wasn't just about physical structures. He spent time listening to the people in the community, hearing their stories and understanding what they truly needed. One day he met a group of young kids who had lost their schools in the fires. They told him about their dreams of becoming doctors, teachers, or engineers. Inspired by their courage, Keanu decided to start a scholarship program to help these young people achieve their educational dreams. Eliza and her family became symbols of recovery. Eliza started working at a victim assistance center, helping others who were going through similar struggles. Her husband became more involved in training new firefighters, teaching them important skills to keep people safe. Eliza's children, who had been out of school, were now able to attend local schools again. Her eldest son even began attending an art school that had been rebuilt with community support. His drawings, depicting the hardships they had faced, became part of an exhibition organized by charitable foundations. Months after the fires, Keanu organized a charity event to help raise awareness and money for the ongoing recovery. Eliza was invited to speak at the event, where she shared her story of survival. Her words deeply resonated with everyone in the audience. She said, "When we lost everything, we thought we were alone. But thanks to people like Keanu, we not only rebuilt our home, but we found a new family, a community that will always support us." Keanu's efforts sparked a movement. People from different walks of life started coming together to rebuild their community. Volunteers began organizing joint events, offering their time and energy to help others. These efforts didn't just focus on physical recovery but on creating a sense of belonging, trust, and mutual support. Even after the flames were out, Keanu kept helping. He worked with local organizations to come up with long-term recovery plans. One of the first things he helped fund was the building of fire-resistant homes. He wanted to ensure families would have safe places to live, even in the face of future natural disasters. He also supported a reforestation project, planting trees to help the land recover from the damage caused by the fires. In addition to rebuilding structures, Keanu funded psychological support centers to help survivors cope with the emotional impact of the disaster. He understood that rebuilding was more than fixing homes, it was about healing broken spirits as well. Keanu didn't just donate money, he actively participated in these initiatives. He joined volunteers in planting trees and even helped paint the walls of newly constructed houses. For him, this wasn't just an act of charity, it was an opportunity to be close to the people who needed his help. He spent a lot of time talking to the affected communities, listening to their stories, understanding their needs, and learning how he could make a lasting difference. One day, Keanu met with a group of young people who had lost their schools in the fires. They shared with him their hopes and dreams of becoming doctors, teachers, and engineers. Inspired by their determination, Keanu helped to organize a scholarship program to support their education. Eliza and her family continued to feel the impact of Keanu's help. They became part of a growing community that worked together to rebuild their lives. Eliza helped to organize meetings where residents could discuss the future of their neighborhood. Her husband became active in training volunteers in fire safety, sharing his knowledge to keep everyone safe. One of the most moving moments came when the community opened a memorial park in one of the most affected areas. This park wasn't just about rebuilding. It was meant to serve as a symbol of hope and recovery. In the center of the park, they installed a beautiful sculpture, a tree with outstretched branches, symbolizing the strength and unity of the community. Keanu was invited to give a speech at the opening ceremony. His words touched everyone deeply. This park is not just about restoring the physical world. It's about the power of humanity. It's about finding light even in the darkest of times. Each of you is a hero in this story, and this park is your legacy. The audience was silent for a moment, honoring the memory of those who had lost their lives. Then, slowly, people started planting trees around the park, symbolizing new growth and hope for the future. For Keanu, this experience was a defining moment. He saw how his actions could influence the world, not just through movies but through real, meaningful deeds. Inspired by what he had witnessed, he decided to create his own foundation to help people affected by natural disasters. His foundation would not only focus on recovery but also on programs to prevent future disasters. Keanu continued to visit the community, even after the major reconstruction work was completed. His frequent visits kept the community motivated to keep working together. He emphasized that kindness wasn't something to do once in a while, it was something anyone could choose to practice every day. Eliza and her family found healing and hope, but they never forgot the kindness they had received. They continued to participate in charity events, and her husband became the face of a fire safety education campaign. Their children grew up understanding that kindness and support were the most important values they could share with others. The fires may have changed many things, but they also became a catalyst for rebuilding both homes and the bonds between people. Keanu's story showed the world that even one person with a heart full of compassion and determination could make a big difference. Even after the fires were out, Keanu kept helping. He wanted to ensure that no one ever felt alone again. His story became a lasting example of what kindness can do, how one person with the right actions can change the fate of many. If you enjoyed this story, share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories. I'll see you in the next video.